Welcome back to our final game of the day, where North America's Echo Fox faces off against EU's Splyce. Since this is a battle between number 3 seed, side selection will be decided with a 2v2. For Echo Fox, fighting for side selection is Huni and Adrian. Oof. And with Splyce submitting Kobbe and KaSing.
Ooh.
What is that?
Oh, no.
What is that? That is the that is the least faith that can actually be humanly made by a sound.
So listen, I love these boys.
I think that's reportable.
They are great guys, but they have not been playing very well in the bot lane throughout this bit. They've died a lot 2 versus 2. Okay, so against Huni and Adrian, I'm not super optimistic as a European, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
When you're talking about a professional player, and
Yeah.
the only thing you have is, well, they're pretty nice guys, then you know it's a sad state of affairs over in Europe.
Well, we'll see how things play out. We're seeing the Anivia being banned off the board, so definitely respect from what we saw earlier in the day with G2 versus...
Ooh, Talia, Alistar. We saw that combo shown off actually in the previous game for an early kill. There definitely is a pretty high kill potential if you want to go for that. And this
right
is
now,
blind pick, so it could be Talia versus Talia.
Syndra Hover. We did see Syndra in the last 2 versus 2 as well. You do have good CC setup, but early game damage not really there until you hit level 6, really.
Yeah. You also have to remember, I mean, if you go for Alistar Talia versus the Talia Syndra, I'm expecting Splyce's team to have like a lot better push. Really, the only way you kind of expect to win as Echo Fox is if you actually land the combo and do get that one shot off. But both these guys are bringing Flash, Lux, the lock-in here for KaSing, Lux and Syndra.
I don't like supports in this. I feel like damage is what you need to go for every champion. You get damage on each level 1, 2, and 3, and you are one of the most powerful 2v2s.
Well, it's interesting because obviously Splyce has gone for that damage.
Right, exactly.
But here, like, the base damages are still pretty high for Alistar.
That's true with the crowd.
So
yeah.
If you actually hit your full combo, you get the headbutt pulverize into a seismic shove that gives you time for the trample to actually stack up for your stun hit as well.
That's his drop.
And these guys are pretty squishy, so there is a possibility of pulling off that straight up 2v2 kill. But that being said, if you fail your engage, they flash that headbutt pulverize, for example, you can get turned on pretty quick.
I think there are a couple of things to take into consideration. One, Syndra is just really good at interrupting the combo from Alistar. You don't even need to set up the stun. The E is a really good tool to just disengage from when Alistar tries to dive onto your face. On top of that, Talia's work ground fills up a large area of space, and I believe it has a lower cooldown on ARAM, but in terms of the fact that her wave clear has already been nerfed with the change to single target on her Q, when you start spamming that ability, your actual damage output could be mitigated if you're not managing where that work ground is going. So for me, I feel like that the advantage is in favor of Splyces for the 2 versus 2 from a comp perspective, but as you said, Azael, the burst, if they're able to land that combo, is definitely devastating.
All right, well, we are on to the Abyss, who will grab first side. EU in favor here of the victories for the 2v2s. G2 able to grab the first set of 2v2s. So see if Splyce can keep it going for the European side.
And not the biggest deal, but both the Splyce guys forgot to get a sweeper's lens, which actually is kind of nice because it can reveal into the bush.
Yep.
You know, it's not the biggest deal here. It probably won't make a difference, but there are situations where it can matter.
Coral wards as well for Huni, playing it smart. Doesn't even have to stay in the brush, can just leave that one.
And he has already brought out his Talia in the LCS this split. He did play jungle when Dardoch went Rengar top. Did look pretty damn good on it.
He also played Talia bot.
He played a different champion. I believe Ryu played it bot.
So far, as we expected, Splyce are the ones getting the push in the early laning phase because they have 2 range versus 1. Note how Huni is hanging towards the top side of the lane, so he kind of he's trying to make the smallest amount of work ground as possible so that he has more space to work with, and he's not just throwing it out as waste because he recognizes that if he just uses all that space early on, then his damage output is really going to be limited. So doing what he can to get a bit of farm and stay relevant, but Splyce doing a good job of zoning Fox away from the wave.
Yeah, and Splyce is going to get the first level 2. They are going to have the push, so then it kind of starts coming down to, oh, well, how well can Echo Fox actually CS under the turret? Because, you know, Splyce doesn't have to opt into a fight.
True.
Right? Like, you can just sit back and just out-shove these guys the whole time and say, well, how well can you farm under the turret? It's actually different than on SR. So, you know, you can see Huni missing the cannon there, and Splyce is actually quite a lot ahead in the farm.
Yeah, they are.
Like two turret shots kill a melee minion here. So you actually have to really prep a melee minion very heavily, whereas on SR, it's 2 turret shots.
That's a really
plus
good
1.
point. It does change the factor
And
of
one
how
shots the
heat
range
does.
minions, right? So it's like, it's totally different. Last hitting is completely different. And unless you've actually spent time on ARAM learning how to last hit, and I actually think the only person I saw do it properly at the All-Star tournament was Faker. He was just about the only guy who maintained farm when under his own turret, because most of the players just don't really understand exactly how to do it.
You recognize it right away or use the abilities you're used to, kind of second nature farming.
Oh no, KaSing, he's hitting the minions. He doesn't know.
Don't touch it! You can see Kobbe said, no, don't do that. So, as well, with this wave clear that they have, able to play with a lot of zoning utensils in their kit, it looks like the summoners also tell a story of, we want to play it safe. If you're going to go on, we have barrier. There's an ignite for aggression, but our abilities are that damage. So, easily filing this one out into CS could work for Splyce.
Yeah, definitely could. There's the seismic shove.
Oh, watch out! We also have not gotten a double blood yet. Only the one and then the secondary. So we're still waiting for these 2v2 bursts to happen at Rift Rivals.
KaSing has to be really careful now. So KaSing is without his flash. Kobbe can hit the knockback on the engage from Alistar, but Alistar still has his ignite. KaSing has no summoners, so if they land that combo onto KaSing, he can definitely get bursted here.
There's one hit. Oh, the turret! That's definitely going to take down
up.
Adrian. First blood going down. Second one now is game advantage for Splyce if they go on to either Huni or Adrian.
And the best thing about this is Splyce isn't actually doing anything. Fox is just trying so hard to force a play that they're then just punishing Fox for every proactive move that they tried to make. And now with no summoner spells on Adrian, no flash on top of Huni, a good bit of chunk damage comes out from the side of Splyce, and they're the ones leading in this 2 versus 2 so far.
I honestly thought if it didn't happen right away, it would only happen at 6 with Adrian being so squishy on this small map. And all the power from Kobbe and KaSing. Still forcing up to the brush. They want to get that CS back as they've gotten within now about 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, not only did they actually dive into the turret, and you know, Adrian obviously just in range of that turret, but it's the fact that they went on to Kobbe, who still had his barrier, right? So it's like they got both the summoners out of KaSing, and Kobbe had both of his summoners still remaining, including that defensive barrier, and that's all he really had to trade out. So, you know, Echo Fox, you know, maybe not the right target choice, and obviously, you know, the mistake there of just getting barely in that turret range is what cost them the kill, but we'll see, because from this position, it's hard to see Echo Fox getting 2 kills, you know, straight up and ending this if Splyce play it far back and just look to play it for push.
Oh no, not good. Down to 102. There's the heal coming in. They took that to stay in the game, and there's the kill. EU coming out big in the 2v2.
Wow, and it was just Adrian not having summoner spells. The chain CC comes out from Splyce. They had enough stacking damage to secure themselves the 2 kills, and Splyce come out on top, so they get side selection coming into our final game of the day.
It's got to feel good.
Yeah,
I love about these is you're flanked by your team as you're doing it. We'll see here as the fight goes in one more time. Just relentless out the gate. Adrian, so bullheaded.
Yeah. The CC definitely there, and Kobbe still having that flash. Goes back in. They're able to finish off Adrian. And, you know, also the most important part here is Splyce proving Vedius wrong. You know, that is really...
Did Splyce prove me wrong,
That is
or
really...
did Echo Fox just lose the
wow.
game?
Nope, Splyce proved you wrong. And Echo Fox, being the charitable
easy
folks
way
that they
out.
are, really wanted to make sure that Vedius was calm. So, you know, they donated that win over to Europe.
God.
And
All
really
right.
just
I sit here and I flame one of the European bot lanes, and then, oh look, they go and get the win.
All right, Vedia, so looking over to you with this one, at first pick for Splyce, what's kind of their favorite or flavor at this point?
I feel like the blue side seems to be the preferred. Blue side is 100% win rate so far throughout the day. Getting, I think that there are a lot of... I think there are a lot of strong champions in the current meta, and so being red side forces you to ban those certain champions away, which means that by being on blue side, you have priority over whatever's left available. We've already seen Aatrox, we've seen Talia, we've seen a bunch of things kind of be left open because there's just not enough
Splyce
left.
selected red side.
Ooh, so they're after the counter pick?
yeah, so I think that red side against Echo Fox in particular makes a lot of sense because if you talk to any pro or any coach in NA, they will tell you, I hate drafting against Echo Fox. No one knows what they're doing.
It's so true.
We're not even convinced Echo Fox always knows what they're doing. But Echo Fox, they can play anything. They can put it anywhere. And I think playing specifically against them, this allows you to see what the full composition is before you make your last
Yes.
pick, and it also allows you to avoid any potential counter pick for Huni, right? And Huni with a counter pick can be very, very dangerous. The Renekton certainly didn't work out so well for him earlier in the day, but you know, going up here against Splyce is smart to be careful about their big star, because he really can be a monster if he gets ahead.
I'm curious as to what strategy Splyce will take, because this split had an opportunity to talk to the coach, and he basically says that a lot of the resources have been invested towards bot side because Kobbe and KaSing haven't been performing during the laning phase, and Xerxes feels like he needs to be around that lane in order to help them get through that part of the map, and so they can transition into the mid game where they can then look for fights. But against Huni, someone who loves to be aggro in the laning phase, looks to try and play towards finding those lane leads, I feel like Xerxes should go back to last split style of just